big data applications, there is often an issue of data versioning, duplication, and misalignment. Using the knowledge graph, we want to eliminate this problem for our use cases so that we always have an up-to-date, verified, and a single point of truth.
If you're anything like me, then using the internet, or better yet, expecting the internet, to answer your pressing questions, satisfy your general curiosity, is pretty much a daily occurrence. But how does that work? How do search engines like Google take our questions, make sense of them in a human context, and give us reasonable answers? That's what we'll find out in this episode of We Talk Data, a new podcast where we take a behind-the-scenes look at exciting projects here in development at RTL Data. I'm Christian Marshall, and joining me today is Ulugbek Kodirov. Ulugbek, it's great to have you here.
Thanks, Christian. It's a pleasure to be here.
Before we take a look at the exciting work you're doing here, I'd like to know a little bit about you as a data scientist. How did you get into data science in the first place?
So, since my childhood, I had a great interest in mathematics. In my high school years, I got an exposure to algorithms and coding that I really liked. And this is also when I realized that I would like to do something in the intersection between applied mathematics and computer science. And this is also precisely why I did my bachelor's degree on that subject. Mm-hmm. During my bachelor years, I learned about statistics and probability theory that really excited me. And I just decided to continue in that area and to pursue my master's degree in data science at the Technical University of Munich. During my master's studies, I worked at Siemens for 2 years, where I also gained my first data science experience on topics like natural language processing, knowledge graphs, and information extraction. And after completing my studies, I was lucky enough to land a job here at RTL Data, and this is where I stand here today in front of you.
Yeah, so you became curious and you stayed curious, and now you're here at RTL Data since April of this year, 2021, as a data scientist, and your project is the knowledge graph. So I'd like to start really basic with the question, Ulugbek, what is a knowledge graph?
Knowledge graph is basically a database which stores and integrates data in the form of, structured graphs. Knowledge graphs are often used to represent interlinked real-world concepts, entities, objects, and events, but also their descriptions in the form of a graph, basically. Yeah.
Okay. What sort of descriptions, what type of information is it that your team is looking to collect? Are there any branches or fields that you're concentrating on the most?
Yeah, we are looking into 3 types of information to represent in our knowledge graph. The first type is static content metadata, basically information and metadata that can be extracted from such sources like text, audio, video, image, and so on. The second type we are looking into representing in our knowledge graph is temporal event data. So we would like to have in our knowledge graph information about what happened, when happened, and who participated in the event. The third type we are focusing on is user data. So who watched which movies and series, who listened to what podcasts. So to sum up, we are looking into these 3 types of information.
So that's a lot of information you're looking to extract and collect. And obviously you've created some software to help you do that. What types of artificial intelligence processes are in place here? What have you implemented so far?
Well, depending on the information source from which we want to extract metadata, we employ various artificial intelligence techniques. If the source is text data, then we use a host of natural language processing techniques like text classification, entity recognition, and linking, relation extraction, keyword extraction, topic modeling, and so on and so forth. If the source is an image or a video, then our colleagues from the Smart Art project are employing computer vision techniques like object detection, visual feature extraction, and so on. If the source is an audio file, then our colleagues are employing text-to-speech, speech-to-text techniques in combination with the already mentioned NLP techniques.
Okay, this is so much data, so much metadata, so much information. Why isn't it called an information graph?
Well, what makes knowledge graph knowledgeable are the relations between the nodes and concepts present in the knowledge graph.
So the relations between the real-world entities,
exactly,
the things that we want to know about.
Exactly. Let's consider an example of. As an example, Myrtle was born in Germany. Let's say we have a node representing Myrtle and another node representing Germany.
Okay.
And the relation between them in this case would be the birthplace, right? So these kind of relations between nodes can be represented in the knowledge graph in a natural way. The graph structure is just a perfect way to represent this information. The graph structure, moreover, allows for inference on the already present information to come up with new facts and relations about what we already know. So basically, it allows for knowledge discovery. Hence is the name knowledge graph.
Okay, so are you meaning to say if we have the entity or the node Merkel, and we also have the node Germany, and we have this relation chancellor, that the knowledge graph then can also infer that Merkel is a politician or that she lives in Germany or something like this?
Exactly. Let's say a person is a father of Merkel, and if we know that if we have the information that certain person is the father of Merkel, then from these two facts we can infer that the person A, the initially mentioned person, is grandfather of Merkel, for example.
Okay.
This would be a simple example of knowledge inference.
Okay. So the more data that you feed into the knowledge graph, the richer, the more complex it becomes, the more it can infer. How will RTL benefit from such a rich knowledge graph?
The first and foremost benefit would be data integration.
Okay.
The knowledge graph that we are building is going to be a single point of truth for our artificial intelligence applications. In big data applications, there is often an issue of data versioning, duplication, and misalignment. And using the knowledge graph, we want to eliminate this problem for our use cases so that we always have an up-to-date, verified, and a single point of truth. The second beneficiary would be the smart search team, the team that is working on making our search engines, smarter. And here, the knowledge, the real-world knowledge, the verified knowledge present in the knowledge graph could be injected into our search engines to make them more content and user-aware.
Okay.
so smarter in the end. The other team that is going to benefit from the knowledge graph in the same way would be the recommender systems team. So these are the three main beneficiaries from our knowledge graph.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so these are some of the real-time, in-use now applications of the knowledge graph. Are there any future plans for the knowledge graph, or any possibilities that you see for the future, or anything that's really dependent on the knowledge graph and how it develops?
Yes, certainly. Another team that would massively benefit from the knowledge graph would be the team of TV planners.
Mm-hmm.
They could use the knowledge graph for faster and more intelligent planning. For example, let's say Christmas season is approaching, then they could query our knowledge graph for Christmas movies featuring certain actors,
mm-hmm.
Where the movie has certain genre and contains certain objects, and overall the movie is on certain topics. So as you can see, the program planners could conduct very granular and complex queries to speed up their work. This would save them hours, if not days, of manual labor.
And this is because the knowledge graph will then infer connections that they might not have seen themselves, because the knowledge graph can recognize how certain movies are related, maybe not only by topic, but by colors, by actors, by thematic.
Definitely. Moreover, all the information there is stored, verified, structured, and can be queried. Whereas if you would do all of that in a manual manner, you would have to go through a lot of movies, maybe watch them in order to infer the facts you are looking for in the movies.
Mm-hmm. What aspect of the knowledge graph are you working on at the moment?
Currently, I'm personally working on relation extraction and linking from unstructured text data.
Okay. What would you like to be able to do with that?
Well, I would be able to automatically infer useful entities and relations among them from text data. Let's come back to the example of Merkel was born in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
If we have this sentence, using relation extraction tools, we would be able to automatically extract triple Merkel, birthplace, and Germany. And we would be able to populate our knowledge graph with the new fact.
Okay. How has working on the knowledge graph and seeing that there are so many entities, so many nodes, so many connections out there changed the way you use the internet, changed the way you use a search engine? Have you stumbled across any surprising uses of a knowledge graph, or what are some of the most prominent examples of a knowledge graph that we might see every day and not even realize?
For example, Google heavily uses knowledge graphs for enhancing its search engine. A lot of the search queries could be boiled down to a query on the knowledge graph. Let's come back to our Merkel again.
Mm-hmm.
If you write a search query, when was Merkel born, or where was Merkel born, the answer could be found from the knowledge graph by finding Merkel and finding the relation place of birth,
mm-hmm.
and taking the node that Merkel is connected to by this relation as an answer and providing it to the user. Since I'm aware of the workings of these techniques, sometimes I'm able to find my answers from Google faster, I think.
Okay. I want those tricks later. You're going to have to tell me.
Okay.
Are there any other projects you're working on at the moment, or is the knowledge graph taking all your time?
Yeah, I'm currently fully focused on the knowledge graph project. Currently, we have so-called single-threaded workflow, which basically means that each team focuses on and obsessed about one topic at a time. Therefore, currently I'm fully occupied and obsessed with knowledge graphs.
Do you have any idea what you'd like to work on in the future?
RTL Data has a lot of bright minds, so I would be happy to work with them on a lot of fascinating and exciting topics. However, lately I've developed interest in question answering systems and also in natural language generation. So let's see where that takes me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where that takes you. It's been a pleasure talking to you today about the knowledge graph. Thank you for sharing your work and your insights with us. It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
And if you enjoyed our conversation today, then be sure to check out our other episodes of We Talk Data, a new podcast where we take a behind-the-scenes look at exciting projects here in development at RTL Data. Thanks for listening. Until next time.